Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DIY Backyard Farm. Today we're going to talk about pruning the tomato plant. Now, I know you're going to instinctively not want to cut your tomato because you're going to think that, oh boy, the plant's not going to make as many tomatoes this year. That's not the case. As a matter of fact, if you don't prune, you're going to get lower quality tomatoes, and you might have more green ones, you might have more actual tomato fruits, but you're going to have less ripening, much less sweetness, and generally be disappointed with the results. So we're going to talk about judicious pruning. And one thing to know is not every tomato plant does need to be pruned. Indeterminate tomato plants are the ones you're going to look for to prune. So read your labels when you buy the plant. Determinate ones actually stop growing at a certain height. Indeterminate will go and go and go. I've seen 10-foot high indeterminate tomato plants that are also 6 feet wide, just behemoths. They tend to produce a lot of greenery, but you don't eat greenery, you eat the tomatoes. So let's focus on making some really great tomatoes this year. What you're going to look for are something called suckers. If you find your first set of flowers, which now this is a smaller plant, but already we have flowers all over it. And as you can see here, there's a set right there. Anything below that can be identified as a potential pruning candidate. A sucker typically grows right in between a stem and a side shoot. So here we have a main stem where my pointer finger is, and right here we have a side shoot. In the middle, we have this growth. This will become a main stem if I don't pop it off. When they're young, they pop it off that easy. When they're older, they're much more fibrous, and I don't recommend you break them off at the main stem because you could damage the main stem. In that case, you would get your trusty sharp clipper, like a nice floral clip or a garden scissor. Corona Tools makes some really good ones. You want to come in and you want to, if this was your sucker, you want to snip it here. What that does is prevents you from getting too close to the main stem and doing damage. I believe that pruning is called a Missouri pruning, but you don't need to know that. That's totally not material. Anyhow, you don't want to over prune. You're going to do some sucker patrol. You can have 3-4 main stems on a tomato plant. I wouldn't go more than that. This one here has got 4 main stems. It's very hard to see because it's shady in here and quite lush. But if you have too much greenery, the tomato plant's going to focus on growing more leaves. You don't eat the leaves, you eat the tomatoes. So think about it. If you have just enough leaves to support a really healthy plant and really healthy tomatoes, that's ideal. Then you'll have super sweet tomatoes that the plant focused on making wonderful, and just enough green to grow tomatoes themselves. Think about that. Send us any questions you have, or tell us how great your tomatoes were, and happy gardening.